Here's the PocketBugz official guide on how to pin butterflies. You're going to want to start with some hydrated butterflies. I'll link my previous tutorial on how to do that. You're going to need a pinning board. I've found that the wood pinning boards are a lot nicer, but if you're on a budget, you can use foam. You'll need some featherweight forceps. For pins, I would recommend real entomological pins. They do come in different sizes. I found that number 2 pins work for just about everything. For sheets, I'm using plastic scraps from laminating, but there are a variety of things you can use. Glassine paper is probably one of the best materials, really good for smaller pins. You can also use parchment paper. It's really helpful to get a spare piece of foam or cardboard. This is kind of a space that you can use to finagle the butterfly onto the pin. Once you've got everything, it's time to pick up your butterfly. I'm working today with a great spangled fritillary. Scientific name Argynnis cybele. This is a pretty common butterfly where I live that comes out in kind of like mid-July to late summer. You'll want to start by prying open the wings just to make sure that it's hydrated enough and flexible enough to be pinned. It's best practice to do this without touching the butterfly, but hey, let's be honest, we're not all doing best practice, right? But yeah, just spread it open best you can to kind of loosen it up. Okay, now grab your number 2 entomological pin. Like I said, they come in different sizes, but unless you're pinning the world's smallest moths or the world's largest beetle, number 2 is going to be just fine. You're going to want to take that pin and go straight through the thorax in the center. Try to get it as straight up and down as possible. It might take a few attempts before you get it, but this is basically what you're looking for. Okay, now whip out your board and place your butterfly on there. Make sure there's enough space above to properly spread the wings. It's never a bad idea to do a little spread check here. Make sure the butterfly's spreading properly and it's flexible. Okay, next cut your sheets to the proper size. Okay, this is where the finesse really comes in and you need to be delicate. Use the sheets to spread the wings. And the technique that I use is I spread out the wings and then apply pressure on top of the plastic and then reach underneath the plastic with the forceps to adjust the wings to their proper place. There's, different techniques, different strokes for different folks, but this is what works for me. Now, the scientific standard is to pin the wings so that the bottom of the forewing, which is the top wing, and the top of the hind wing, which is the bottom wing, form kind of like a straight line across or like a slight V shape. That's the standard and what I think looks best. But really, you can mess around and pin it however you want if you'd really like. But yeah, once you've got that desired angle, put some pins straight through the plastic into the board as close to the butterfly as possible. And this will hug the plastic tight to the butterfly and make sure that nothing moves. You can see that I did about 4 or 5 pins, but you might need to do more, you might need to do less. Yeah, you might even need to use like 6 or 7 pins. Yeah. Okay, so now you basically just do the same thing to the other side. I actually went back on this butterfly and adjusted the side that I just did to make it a little bit cleaner. So you might need to do that. Like if something shifts, take the plastic off, readjust, repin. But yeah, this is turning out pretty good so far. I did mess up though. Tragedy struck right here. As I pulled my hand away, I actually snapped one of the antennae off. And now butterflies' antennae are very delicate, and I have a lot of butterflies where I wasn't able to fix them, and I've messed them up so many times. So just a reminder to be careful, be aware of where your hands are. But there is a fix. You can actually just super glue them back on. And this is a pretty delicate process that doesn't always turn out. But yeah, what I did here is I took a little bit of super glue, took a pin, put a little bit of super glue on it, tried to get some of the super glue on the antenna, and then reattached it. Okay, after all that and the repairs, you're just going to want to make sure that the abdomen is sitting straight. You might need to put a pin on top or underneath to either push it down or lift it. When all that's done, that's really it. You just let it sit for like 5 days or so and let it dry. Here's a close-up of that butterfly once everything was pinned. As you can see, the antenna didn't turn out perfect. And here's that butterfly unpinned. Here it is in the case with some of the other butterflies that I've pinned. Things might not turn out quite how you want at first, but just keep practicing. Here are some of my first pins for comparison. So really, all you got to do is practice, get out there, find some butterflies, and I hope it helps you appreciate butterflies more. And don't forget to follow PocketBugz for more bug content.